Yes. Are we on?
Yes, you're on.
Hey everyone, this is our new hurricane house. Our other hurricane house is actually right there. So this is number 31. This is unit 31.
That's actually, yeah, 31.
Yeah. So you come in. We have a lovely upstairs and downstairs right here. Look at this pretty little decoration. Beautiful.
I won't tell you where they came from.
This is like where you put pins on this. I'll show you where the pins are in just a minute. You put pins on this to show where you're from. Where you're from. Our home is fun in the sun. So everything in our home has to do with fun in the sun.
Hey guys. Welcome back to my channel. Well, Christine Woolley, or Christine Brown of Sister Wives, we don't know if she's officially off of Sister Wives, is laughing all the way to the bank or to the mortgage office, because she's just bought her third rental Airbnb in 2 years. This one is directly across the street, or directly across the way, from another rental that David bought in his name in March. Christine and David now own 2 properties within the same little subdivision with townhouses in Hurricane, Utah, near several national parks and with loads of travel and vacation rental income opportunities. On this latest season, Paydon said he didn't know if his mom did want to purchase these rentals, but that he did know she would now if she could, because before leaving Kody, she couldn't make her own choices. She needed to go through several steps just to get approved by the group, and Kody was the one who controlled the finances. Although she did handle her own family's money to a certain degree, with David, it's open season, she gets to do whatever she likes. Whether or not this is a good thing is anybody's guess, but she flaunted the rental in a video on her Instagram recently, and take a look.
And so the whole kitchen was inspired by that fat chicken. He's so cute, I can't handle it. So the whole kitchen became the old like little French chef kind of a vision with all of the colors in here. And then it has everything that you need to really cook a really great meal. So we have all of this is about the French chef. This creates kind of a homey kind of a vibe. And then we have our beautiful living room down here. This actually is designed apart. I know. And we got this lovely. This was kind of heavy to get in here.
Yeah, it was real heavy.
This was a beast. And then we have this beautiful personal backyard. Check this out. And we have it's a personal hot tub, sitting area. We're putting in some covering so it won't be quite as well.
It's a little dirty. Easy to get cleaned off.
You know what? We can do that. And then we have the main bedroom, the ensuite here. This is kind of like a fun in the sun autumn-y. So we have here my pitch kind of already so relaxed.
Therefore, Christine and David's strategy seems to be buying units within an existing resort. In this arrangement, individual owners purchase the properties, but the resort deals with, cleans, manages bookings, and performs maintenance, and the owners pay a fee for these services, which is incorporated into the cost of booking. They currently own 2 units within the Zion Skyline Resort close to Zion National Park. The townhouses are about 2,300 square feet, and some have a maximum of 26 guests that can sleep in them, essentially putting people into them, which is crazy. The resort features amenities such as a pool, water slide, mini golf course, gym, game room, drive-in theater, and pickleball courts. In essence, visitors are paying to sleep at a resort with individual owners. The resort promotes it as providing unparalleled guest extravagance. The advantage for owners is that, since it's within an already established resort, the risk is less bookings can be made more easily, and owners don't have to concern themselves with doing all of the maintenance. You don't have to handle all the cleaning, those people do that for you. I think probably the disadvantage here would be that you pay more because you pay for all those services, and then you own the property, but the property is a part of a resort. So, it's part of a planned unit and you must sign a planned unit rider, and then there are additional fees that you pay. So maybe there are some restrictions there because, outside of the resort, you own it, but you don't, like, it's in your name, right, but within a resort. I don't know, kinda confusing. I believe for Christine, with having hardly any experience at all in the world of real estate, this would most likely be an appealing way of her entering into a rental income without having to do the upkeep on it herself because in the end she can purchase it, and then there are on-site people that do the cleaning. All the bookings can be accommodated directly on the resort's website, and then you're essentially just shelling out management fees to them to look after it. You have to pay for glaring repairs, but they would cover it while they're around. So, It's almost like there is a third individual within there that you need to pay them a whole lot of money to have take care of it and make it easier but costlier. I recall a couple of years back, it has been a while, perhaps 10, it was something that my husband and I were considering doing ourselves, and we were considering the advantages and disadvantages of doing something like this, and it can be incredibly pricey because you naturally are on a variable scale when it comes to rental returns. If you're in a resort area, that is such that you're depending on the high season for that region. So if it's summertime to visit Zion, then you're heavily invested in creating and optimizing rentals during the summer, and then you have other times of the year where the rental income is minimal, so you don't make as much money, but you still have bills you need to pay such as mortgages, taxes, maintenance, and fees, and all the various items that you need to pay in order to own these homes. So, it's a benefits versus cons situation, and certain money advisors view these as risky investments simply because of that uncertainty within the marketplace. I don't know, but for David and Christine, this appears to be their next move will be rental properties and vacation rentals. And I believe the other advantage here is that since it's within this rental unit space, these are not properties that she and David can typically use for themselves. They may have agreements within these scheduled units whereby they can only use it for a set number of weeks for their own private use, and then the remainder of the time it must be leased out so that people can enter in and utilize them. So these aren't your average rental houses, if that is any better way to put it, like, you purchase a cabin for your family and you don't have it as an Airbnb, so it's just your other house. These aren't your average second houses because you can't go there and reside there whenever you'd like. They're only intended for guests to utilize for a resort. So, that's the one negative. And then sometimes your ability to go there and remain there is dependent on whatever the deal is with the resort. And on top of all that, they're carrying a mortgage on one of the units, and they also have a mortgage on one of David's homes that he still hasn't sold, which they've been attempting to sell for roughly a year. They own their home that's located in Lehi, and then they own property in Moab. And I don't think they own property in Moab with a mortgage on it, but they do own homes here in Hurricane with mortgages on them. So, it's holding more debt, too, to generate income. So, you have to really weigh out the pros and cons, I would say. And, it's difficult because real estate is always a difficult investment. It can be wonderful, and it can be quite frightening. And I was involved in real estate. I was in mortgage for years. And I was working at the time when the real estate market was climbing back in the early 2000s. And seeing folks buying and buying and buying when the market was rising, it frightens me today because when I look at the market and inflation going super high like this and the amount of equity that's being put into homes and how much homes are costing now and then how high the interest rates are, it always gets me nervous because it reminds me of the same time leading up to the bubble bursting in 2008. And I might be totally wrong, but I've always feared purchasing at a high market. So, my husband and I, we both got screwed when the housing market collapsed in 2008. I had purchased a home in 2005, and then sold the home in 2013, and I effectively had to just pay the closing fees for the individual to buy the house off of me. So, I wasted money selling the home. Insane. And then my husband also had a townhouse which was totally upside down. And there was no possibility that we could stay there because the two of us were not thinking of living in a townhouse and raising a child. And then he was so deeply upside down on the mortgage and the value of the property that it would have taken decades, years, to have it flip. And even then, it would have been nothing but a nightmare. He was so upside down, hundreds of thousands of dollars upside down. So, he had to release it, like many people, where they came in with the promise like, oh, you can qualify for this, and, oh, the value of the property is excellent, and then to lose your value of your property overnight, it's frightening. So, for my husband and I, we have so much fear of purchasing property now. We purchased our house which we reside in today 12 years ago, and we're like, we could move, we could get a larger residence, but we're afraid to purchase anything else now because we purchased our home when the market was low, and now the market's up again. And I don't know, it just terrifies me. The rental markets terrify me. That's just my personal opinion. But for other individuals, they cash in big time on property, and they just view it as a long-term investment, and they don't view property as, well, I'm here to flip something and it's going to be a quick buy. For David and Christine, if they're purchasing rental properties in a high tourist area where there is lots of tourism and the rentals are rented out, and then they have somebody else that can manage it, it's a passive income once it picks up and keeps getting booked. And then she also has her celebrity status to leverage to market it. So, she has a benefit that some other individuals that have rentals do not possess because she is able to sell these to millions of individuals on her Instagram and on her social media and get individuals interested in these properties. And then she has individuals like me talking about the properties, which just creates more curiosity to these properties. And then there's such a demand for these parks. There's such a tourist boom in Utah due to these parks that if you can afford it, it could be a pretty profitable business for her and a means of how she can make money without having to labor very much because she can put money into it and then they maintain it. But on the other hand, if anything happens to go awry in the market or if there's a recession and folks don't travel and the tourism market evaporates because individuals can no longer afford to begin traveling, then you're working with the downside of renting property that is located within resorts. If individuals are unable to afford vacations, and when there are recessions, the first thing that individuals drop is travel. That's practically always what occurs when you study recessions. Not saying that's going to do that here, it's just in the long term what occurs. And having spent years in the mortgage and real estate business, I'm always cognizant of that because my husband and I, again, we were just arguing the other day about discussing buying a second home, like a lake cabin. And it was just trying to sort through all of that. And some are more adept at decision-making than others. And it seems that Christine and David are not waiting and running and laughing all the way to the bank. And she's going to take the money from the book, it seems, and invest it in getting another rental. So good for Christine. I guess if anybody in here is winning short-term, it's certainly Christine as she becomes a real estate mogul, right? And she has a contractor husband who can do repairs if needed if they want to avoid paying extra from the management doing it. So, there's that. But, yeah, what do you think of Christine's new job as a mogul, a real estate mogul? Do you think that in the background Kody is a little jealous? Will there be a run on real estate for Kody now? Will he begin to purchase rentals and have rental income as well? Will he attempt to be a real estate mogul because if you remember, this was what Kody wished to do. So, Christine is doing what Kody wished. Kody wanted to become a real estate mogul where he would have all these rentals and rent them out. Remember that? That's what Coyote Pass was going to be. He was going to be like, I'm going to create a subdivision and I'm going to rent all these units out and I'm going to be a rental landlord in that. And Kody couldn't do that for himself, but Christine did. So did she steal his aspiration? Is she like rubbing it in his face by becoming this tycoon that he couldn't become? Is there still some residual jealousy like, oh, well, Kody was going to be a real estate mogul, so I'm going to be. I don't know if that's true or not, but that might be the case. I mean, competition and that competitive spirit, that's something in polygamy that's difficult to shake even when you get out. So, share with me what you think about these new updates for Christine in the comments below. What do you think Kody feels? Let me know. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.